Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order for the Town of Brunswick Planning Board for May 2nd, 2024. If everybody please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, this evening, our agenda includes two public hearings. I will read the agenda as was posted on the town website and the town board. Number one, Riser, minor subdivision. Applicant seeks minor subdivision approval to subdivide 1.44 acres from 4.66 acre parcel to create a new building lot on property located at Hardwick Lane. Public hearing to commence at 7 p.m. Henry Riser is the applicant. Number two, Foro, amendment to special use permit. Applicant seeks to amend the previously approved special use permit in order to allow for on-site pickup and purchase firearms on property located at 502 Pinewoods Avenue. Public hearing to commence at 7:15. Zachary Foro is the applicant. Number three, Park East Ventures, amendment to site plan. Applicant seeks to amend a previously approved site plan application to extend an existing building and construct a staging area on property located at 1173 Hoosick Road at the intersection of Brick Church Road. Park East Ventures Incorporated is the applicant. Number four, Chanel. Am I pronouncing that right? Or Chanel? No, okay. Site plan amendment to and special use permit. Applicant seeks to amend a previously approved site plan application and also seeks a special use permit to expand an existing self-storage facility on property located at 20 Tyler Lane. Tom Chanel is the applicant. And listed below that, the site plan application submitted by the Maurice Muse LLC has been tabled at the request of the applicant, in case there's anybody here that has an interest in that. And the planning board will also review new applications received following the April 18th, 2024 regular meeting. Okay, first on our agenda are the public hearings. The first public hearing is for the Riser minor subdivision. And I'll read the procedure for the, procedure for the public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to hear concerns, comments, and views from the general public regarding a particular proposal or application. All public hearings are electronically recorded and a written record of the proceedings is generated. In most cases, this written record is included with the minutes of the planning board regular meetings, which is conducted immediately after the public hearing. The applicant will be required to respond to all concerns and comments made at the public hearing, and subsequently the planning board will consider all concerns and comments when evaluating the application to ensure that the applicant has addressed all the issues in question. The public hearing will be conducted as follows. The notice of public hearing will be read by the planning board attorney. Next, the applicant will give a brief presentation on the proposal and will provide any updates on the application. Upon completion of the applicant's remarks, the chairman of the planning board will recognize persons from the public, and these individuals will be allowed to speak and offer their concerns, comments, and views. Since the proceedings of the public hearing are electronically recorded, it is requested that all speakers step forward, use the microphone at the podium. All speakers will give their name and address for the record. At this point, I'm going to have the planning board attorney Andy Gilchrist, read the notice of public hearing.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the town of Brunswick at 7 p.m. on Thursday, May 2, 2024, at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Brunswick, New York, 12180, to review a minor subdivision application submitted by Henry Reiser for property located on Tie Bush Lane, tax map number 82.2-12.2. Copies of the application and supporting documents are available at the Brunswick Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing. We will note that this was published in the Swift Press, posted on the town signboard and the town website, and mailed to owners of properties within 300 feet of the project site.
Thank you, Andy. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Henry Reiser, who will give a brief presentation of the applicant.
Good evening. What we have is a 4-acre lot, and a lot of town frontage. We decided to break off an 1.5 acre lot, which is shown right here. It basically has room from all the existing septics and wells. As far as for the new well and septic, so it has all the distances that's required. It has power at the road, like I said, good road frontage, and it's just simply a good lot. I don't know what else to really say.
What's that? Okay, at this time, is there anyone who wishes to come up and make any comments, have any questions, concerns? This is the minor subdivision for Henry Reiser. Okay, now everybody jump up and listen. Okay, once again, is there anyone who wishes to make any comments on this application for a minor subdivision? This is your opportunity. We do not have a public forum at our regular meetings, so we request that people use the public hearings as a means to express their views, concerns, and questions. Okay. Then I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Is there any further discussion on that? Just as before we vote on that?
We've received nothing by
See, nothing
email or
by
letter.
mail, okay. All right, then, all those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You're all set? We will discuss your minor subdivision at the regular meeting, which will start after the next public hearing. Okay. And Andy, you did notice that. Okay, since the next public hearing is supposed to start at 7:15, we still have a couple minutes, so I'm going to take a slight break here, make sure no stragglers come in on that. You can stay for the meeting. That's all?
And I released the farm and then
Are you gonna, is the subdivision for someone in your family?
hopefully, how you doing?
Yeah, happy to have a good spot, so.
Okay, it's, 7:15. Since there was no other people who came in between now and then, I don't think I'm going to not go through the whole procedural instructions, but I think everybody gets the idea. So at this point, I will ask that, planning board attorney, Judy Gilchrist, read the notice of public, hearing.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the planning board of the town of Brunswick at 7:15 PM on Thursday, May 2, 2024, at the Brunswick Town Hall, 336 Town Office Road, Brunswick, New York, 12180, to review an application to amend a previously approved special use permit submitted by Zachary Froyo to allow the in-person pickup of firearms ordered from distributors on property located at 502 Pinewoods Avenue. Copies of the application and supporting documents are available at the Brunswick Town Hall and are available for public inspection during regular business hours. All interested persons will be heard at the public hearing. This was published in the Eastwood Press, placed on the town signboard, posted on the town website, and mailed to owners of properties located within 300 feet of the project site.
Thank you. Will the applicant come up and, since this is a, amendment to a previously approved, special use permit, could you describe more the original approval versus what you're doing now?
Yes, sir, yes. So back in 2021, I believe it was, I started Freedom Arms USA, with your guys' approval, which is an online retailer for firearms, ammunition, and pretty much anything related to such. And essentially, someone would place an order, whether they're calling it through me or Gun Broker or my website, and I would receive said order, go to my wholesalers or straight to the manufacturer, place the order, and then mail it to, whoever. If it's a firearm, it needs to go through another FFL. But because we did my first approval, strictly e-commerce, no customers were allowed at my house, meaning if, even my wife bought a firearm off me, it would then have to go to another FFL to do the actual transfer, any normal brick and mortar store. And that did work for, quite a long time, but, since new laws have changed quite a bit, and then also, after sending so many people to, the same guys, they essentially just said I was taking their business, and they no longer allowed me to do transfers to them. So I requested to amend my existing special use permit to allow 3 customers per week, none of them on the same day, and by appointment. I believe doing this maintains the intent behind the Brunswick bylaws. There's not going to be any increased traffic on Pine Woods. At most, it would be 1 extra car in my driveway, but I've got a 200-foot driveway. Additionally, they would allow me to sell to my friends and family because, anyone else, I'm shipping it, and that's fine. But my neighbor, again, my wife, and actually even me, I can't transfer to me. Zach Froyo and Freedom Arms USA are 2 separate entities. So the ATF told me unless I can have at least 1 customer at my house, I cannot transfer it to me. Everything is very black and white with the ATF. Obviously since this was originally instated, COVID has happened. Our world is much different today than it was previously. There are countless people, including my day job, working remote, having customers, clients to their house. I'm sure at least most people in here know at least one person that is running some sort of business out of their house. It's very common in today's world. The only difference is I have a federal government watching and maintaining me. So the ATF will check in on everything. If they see 2, if this is approved, if they see 2 transfers on the same day, they'll pull it. They'll see, if they see 4 in a week, they'll pull my license immediately. So it'll be very heavily monitored. That's essentially the gist. My request is for 3 transfers a week, none of them on the same day, and by appointment only.
Okay. Just as a clarification, could you describe the background check procedure that you would?
Yeah, so that actually just changed. Before it was, it's called NICS, NCIS, and it's essentially the FBI. Since the ATF was created, that's how background checks were done for firearms. New York State recently made a new law saying they wanted background checks on ammo. The FBI pretty much told them no. They're not going to bog down their system with ammo background checks. So they just released a few months ago, I believe it was actually last September, so a little bit more than a few months ago, the New York State troopers are now doing it, and they also run background checks on ammo. So basically what would happen, someone would place the order through me. What happens now, I then send it off, and the background check is ran there. The background check has to be run at the final location. So if this is approved, they would place the order through me, I run the background check, and then essentially it comes back approved or denied, and after that, I file away all that paperwork, and then you can handle, depending on what type of firearm. If it's a pistol, they have to get their license amended. Once I see that it's amended, then I can hand it over. It's just a standard, shotgun, anything that's not semi-automatic, then they can take it. But yeah, there's background checks on any type of firearm and ammo now.
Anything else you want to add to your presentation?
I think that pretty much sums it up. Any other questions?
Well, before I open up the floor to the public, I did receive 2 letters. One from Maureen Madden at 385 Brunswick Road. Is that person here? And one from Matthew Perfetti, and he just lists himself as a town of Brunswick resident. Both these letters basically oppose this application based on the fact that this is now fallen into the definition of a retail establishment set forth by the Town of Brunswick zoning law, the commercial enterprise that provides goods and or services directly to the consumer. Zoning law 160-12. And I think we're gonna have to take a look at that definition. Is that correct, Andy, at this point? Or just make note that they haven't.
No, if the issue's been raised, it will need to be addressed by the building department.
Okay. But I did want to make that for the record that those two individuals did send letters in. Both received on
Today.
Can I make a response to that right now?
Let's get some public comment out on it. I think there's some people here that probably want to make some comments.
Okay,
So let's do that first.
sounds good.
You can address any of the comments you'd like at the public hearing.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now I will open up the floor to anybody who wishes to come up and make any comments, have any views on the special use permit amendment. Jim, come on up.
Good evening. I'm Jim Tatchett, 387 Brunswick Road. We're going through the background of this, of how the special use permit made, so this would fall under the class of a home occupation. I believe that's correct. Okay. And then I'd like to, Mr. Ferrario went through the process of the original request and then how that's going to be changed. Originally, there was a condition on the approval with that one condition that there were no in-person visits, sales to the premises. Okay, and now he's requesting that there will be people coming and making a direct purchase at the premises. So I'm going to look at through the lens of the Brunswick zoning law here. Would this sale constitute a retail activity? Okay, and the detail, the definition in the zoning code is a retail establishment is a commercial enterprise that provides goods and or services directly to the consumer. Okay? A commercial enterprise that provides goods and or services directly to the consumer. That's exactly what's being done here under the request, or would be done under the request. Okay? Now, let's look at the home occupation status. What's the definition of that? Okay, you have to, this is home occupation definition on page 18 of the Town of Brunswick zoning law. And this is how it's defined. Any personal, professional, or trade services customarily conducted entirely within a principal or accessory residential structure, which use is clearly incidental and secondary to the use of the property for dwelling purposes and does not change the residential character, with no retail sales therein. All right, that's in the code. No retail sales within a premise of home occupation. So it sounds like this is good. You can't have a retail operation in a home occupation premise, right? And similarly, if you the possibility of the only other possibility might be an office building a professional category, right? And then there's a similar prohibition on retail sales there, okay? This is a definition of office, business, and professional. Establishment used for the organizational or administrative aspects of a trade or used in the conduct of a profession or business and not involving the manufacture, storage, display, or direct sales of goods. So neither one of those is it possible to run a business like that. Even though he didn't mention the office business and professional, this was probably the next thing that might spring to mind. Then if you take a scan of the schedule of use regulations, the tables that accompany the building code, like so, this is from page, reading glasses here, excuse me. This is attachment 1. This is page 2 of 3 of the business group, right? And there are 4 categories of retail sales. There is retail established in convenience, large product, and neighborhood. Okay, how about if you try for neighborhood? Well, it turns out that none of these can be put in a residential zone, right? None of them. So that's not a possibility. I don't know, unless the planning board has the power to modify the terms of the zoning law, then the planning board has to deny this. It's just from the definitions in the law, the writing of the code, right? And in addition to that, this would be an awfully bad precedent to set. If somebody can open a building, and I'm not talking about firearms, I'm talking about anything. You know, if somebody wanted to sell power tools or what have you out of their house, how could you turn them down once you allowed something like this? So, the applicant always has the option of going into a proper retail space in an appropriately zoned area. Right? There are a lot of empty storefronts around here to go into. There's no pressing need to squeeze this in because, quite frankly, he probably didn't anticipate. I think he said to himself, he didn't anticipate some of the difficulties with this. It's probably just not as profitable as he would have liked, right? And that's unfortunate. But the town doesn't have to make him whole because of his lack of due diligence on this. Okay? That's my comments.
Thank you, Jim. Does anybody else wish to come up and make any comments?
Mary Beth Bruno, 102 Blue Next Run, Brunswick.
What's the address again, please?
102
Yes.
Little Nex, Lenax.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a comment from the perspective of the homeowner. It's my opinion that if I lived next to a house that was operating the sale of firearms, it would have an impact on the value of my home. If I'm selling to a potential homeowner who has small children, whose kids are home during the day, and you know that these transactions are going on, state or federal, periodic checks, which are good, that's what we need to happen, obviously, in this line of work, would make me uncomfortable. I think that when I sold my home, that would be a problem to a future homeowner if I lived near this residence. Also, to that gentleman's point, if you're approving the in-person sale of firearms at this point, how do I know that someone else isn't going to want to do the same thing in my neighborhood? Right now, it's not in my neighborhood, and I'm very glad it's not. But again, if I had small children, I would not want to live next to a home that was operating this type of business.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to come up and make any comments? I'll open the floor again. Is there anybody who wishes to come up and make any comments regarding the amendment to the special use permit? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to close.
I'll make the motion.
You want
Yeah, can I come back up?
to?
After the close of the public hearing. That's the applicant?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Certainly, you can speak. This is the public hearing, though, to allow the public to provide comments. You give them the opportunity to respond as the applicant.
I move we close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And just to, we will make these part of the record?
Correct.
Okay, is there any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. We will now open up the regular meeting of the planning board, which will include those two applicants. And our first business agenda is to take a look at the minutes for approval of our meeting of April 18th. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those? Are there any corrections, additions, or changes?
Look good when I read.
Hearing none, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes as they were submitted. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, first on the agenda is the riser minor subdivision. So we have, I just have one quick question. I just received a map in April 30th.
That shows the full parcel.
That shows the full parcel?
Yeah.
Okay. We've had the public hearing, Henry. Obviously, there was no comments, so there will be no response from the applicant. And that'll be duly noted in the minutes. So there was no comments made at the public hearing. No response is necessary. So we have a new map here.
Yep, when we were last here, the board requested to have the plan show the remainder of the property of Bush. So we had Holbreder add that to the map. So now it shows the entire parcel. It also includes the parcel that's going to be subdivided off. So that's all included. Also wanted to have a well located. That's an existing well that was in the garage. That's on Bush's property. So that well is located right here. And, it's not close enough to affect anything with the new construction. Really,
To use that well for the animals, Henry, or that's not for his personal use? So his well's closer up to his house.
I believe he has a well in his house that he uses, and he does use that for the animals and just as a backup well for the farm.
Wayne, do you have any questions on that? Just as a refresher to the board, we requested that the map be revised to include the whole parcel. Even though our regulations do not really require that, it is the opinion of the Mercer County when they file these, that the whole parcel be included. They would prefer that, so that's why we asked the applicant to expand out the drawing to include the entire boundaries of the parcel. Wayne, back to you again.
Now, I'm pleased with the map. It does show the entire parcel being subdivided. He's addressed all the questions that I've had previously. I don't have any further comments.
All right. Anyone on the board have any questions? Any comments? At this point, we can move forward with a seeker determination.
make a negative declaration under seeker.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion on that? Wayne, do you have any comments on that? That's,
No, I reviewed the seeker record, I have no comments.
okay, then, we have a second, no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now on the, approval of the minor subdivision? Is there any conditions that have to be just Rensselaer County approval on any
Rensselaer
side?
County approval for water, septic, and paying of the parking fee.
My next question, see on the property owner. That only, if you're gonna build a house, like if,
No, it applies for the subdivision, minor subdivision, create a lot, the parking rec fee applies. You can confirm that with the building department.
Is that the question you had?
what I have is my neighbor that bought my father's house across the other side of Tigers Lane came to me and said, I'm interested in buying this, so nobody builds a house there. So my question is, if this subdivision is approved, can I now sell that piece of land? Or do I still have to get health department approval for septic system?
It's health department approval. Well, I'll defer to Wayne on that. Why don't you address that, Wayne? I have no further comments on the issue.
Should the lot be developed and a house is put there, he would need to have. But if it's not Department of Health.
If there's no house, if the person chooses not to put a house on it,
That's
then
what I'm asking.
you can land transfer it. And if he decides to put a house on it at some future date, 5, 10 years, he still has to go and have Rensselaer County approval.
Right.
That condition is only there because we are creating a building lot.
The suggestion then would be to add a plat note, to specifically say Rensselaer County Health Department approval for water and septic prior to issuance of a building permit.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Thank you.
Can we still move forward with that, with the idea?
With the
that-
condition, so Brian can add that as a plat, so people can stand inside.
All right, is there any other conditions that anybody wishes to discuss? Do I have a second on that motion? Nobody entered the motion, okay. Would you like to enter the motion? All right,
I'll second the motion.
okay. There's no further discussion, I assume? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we have that change. Get the copies over to us, we'll sign it.
Thank you.
Okay? You're all set?
Thank you.
You want these back since these were incorrect?
Thank you. I'm gonna, the new ones are made up.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, second on our agenda is the Royal amendment to the special use permit. Come on. You obviously have heard the comments at the public hearing. Most of them were centered around whether it was really now you're having a retail establishment in an area that's not zoned for that. I think the building department will now have to really, look at that themselves and make a determination on that. There was also a comment about, firearms affecting possibly the value of property and, safety, that type of thing, affecting the saleability of property adjacent to it. Floor is yours.
Thank you. I guess I have a couple things. I just want to say what I'm doing, even if this does get approved, is not rare, or I'm not a trendsetter, I'm not setting a precedent. Like I had mentioned earlier, none of the local brick and mortar stores will take my transfer anymore. Well, I'm still doing business, meaning I'm still transferring somewhere. It's other at-home FFLs. Karen's Guns in Petersburg, and then SWAT, Saratoga Weapon and Tactical. The guy runs it out of his garage. This is a very, very common thing. I would, and I think those guys even have display cases. I'm not gonna have display cases, never gonna have any of that. And in response to the, this being retail, I kind of covered that first time around saying, we all know someone doing business out of their house. And if you don't, go to Facebook Marketplace. You see people selling stuff on there all the time, and actual legitimate businesses, whether it's people selling wood or hats that they knitted or lawn care services. So unless we're shutting all them down too, I don't know why my business would be singled out. And in regards to market value of one's house, at any given time, the number of firearms that are under Freedom Arms USA is always going to be lower than what I have personally, and even the average hunter is going to have more firearms in said house than what Freedom Arms USA has. It's not uncommon for someone that hunts or even shoots just for fun to have multiple firearms. Freedom Arms USA doesn't stock because we don't display cases. We don't. That's not my business model. And someone also mentioned something about profitability. I do this as more of a passion project. I run the Northeast division of a construction company. I don't need the extra money that I'm making from Freedom Arms USA. I do that to support friends, family, and also the local community. But the unfortunate part is because of new laws and how my current amendment is set up, friends, family, and local community are the only ones that aren't really seeing any benefit of knowing me in FFL. My neighbor was one of my biggest customers. Now again, I can't. It's tough to transfer to them, even on ammo now. Like I said, there's background checks on ammo. Before I could just mail it to him or walk over to his house and drop it off. But I can't do that anymore. There needs to be a background check, and that needs to be done at the place of whatever the address is on the actual FFL license. That's where the background check needs to happen. So that's all stopped. Yeah, I guess those are my responses. Do you guys have any questions?
Well, I'm just going to respond to in the beginning of your conversation, you said that you have other people that, have gun dealers and other areas and so forth.
Yeah.
So, we have no jurisdiction over that.
Yeah, no, I got
In
it.
the town of Brunswick, we have certain, laws and regulations, or zoning laws require certain things. I have no idea what the zoning laws are in Ravine or something that pertains to this. So we're dealing right here in the town of Brunswick, so
Yeah,
to make that clear.
Yeah.
As far as, other people doing business and so forth and so on, selling things, I think then you're gonna get into a definition of, dealership. You have actually a dealer's license. It's different than somebody selling Legos out of their house on Craigslist. That's my opinion, that's my opinion.
People, whether they're a realtor running, a business out of their house, or, an accountant, a financial advisor, or again, like a lawn care service. The definition of retail has been stated more than once here already tonight, and it's goods or services. So,
Russ, if I can, the planning board does not have jurisdiction to interpret the zoning law, so there shouldn't really be any further discussion at that point until the building department has rendered its determination. Planning board is without jurisdiction to interpret the code. It's not its authority.
I do have one question from a legal point of view. We did approve.
That there was a prior building department determination. There is a new component to the proposed land use that will need to be reviewed by the building department, and the building department will render its determination. It's not within the jurisdiction of the planning board.
All right.
In the past, we asked the applicants to respond in writing to any public comments. Is the applicant going to respond in writing to these three?
I would have to, at this point, yes, I would have to assume that you would have to do a written response.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
And
know.
it's the
He
appropriate.
received copies of the letters.
Did you receive copies of this?
Yeah, I gave him a copy.
Yeah, he just
Okay,
did.
and you will have the individual's comments in the minutes.
Okay, I can pull those right offline or they get emailed.
Well, when they're available online, you can pull them right off.
Okay,
All right?
thank you very much.
Now, do you feel that there'll be a termination by our next meeting on the 16th?
Gotcha.
Okay. We will put you on the agenda for the 16th.
Okay, I have pretty heavy travel schedule coming up, so I'll let you know within, 2 days if that day works. I know I'm in Arizona for work and then Colorado, not too far after that, so,
All right,
but yeah, I'll let you guys know.
all right. That's fair enough, but we'll tentatively put you on for the 16th
Thank you.
and hopefully have a determination. If you could process the responses for that, and get it
Absolutely.
back to the building department.
Yep, I'll get them within 24 hours of getting the minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay, number 3 on our agenda tonight is the Park East Ventures amendment to the site plan.
Yeah, my name is Travis Rosenkrantz from Creighton Manning, civil engineer for the applicant. The applicant had an employment obligation, and apologizes for not being in attendance tonight. So if there are any questions that I can't answer, I'll give a defaulted answer. I will get you a comment as soon as possible. So really what I'd like to do is just give a summary of the changes. Kind of give a summary of where we're going, and then input from the board as far as where we need to go procedurally with the updated documents and the summary I gave tonight. So we did receive and provide a response to a thorough and fair review conducted by Mr. Burge's staff. We did meet with him separately prior to preparing the written response. It was submitted a week or two ago. We do understand that was a pretty hefty submission and don't expect comments from him by tomorrow, but we conversed outside. So really, we did address most of his comments, most of the review comments, and did offer several major changes that were integrated into the plan set. We did hear everybody loud and clear about the visual screening, and that was discussed at I believe it was the April 16th meeting, and we beefed up our landscaping screening, which would be down here on this plan, and we're not actually showing it where you can really see it, but it's to provide the screening from the house located immediately downhill. That screening is proposed in the plan set for reference. That was the one major change. In order to reduce our excess cut, we reduced the size of the gravel lot and also proposed additional grading to dispose of that excess cut on site. So you'll see a reduction in this actual grading area. The staging area is pulled farther up to the top of the hill. We modified grading, offered a maintenance path into that stormwater basin area, and directed that outflow further east uphill, so that it's not so close to this neighboring parcel. In addition, we provided a lighting plan. It's pretty minimal. We do understand that there is a 4-head light post in the middle here that may provide some foot candles that exceed the current permitted limit of the code. We do understand that we have to look back at that and check to see if there's compliance on that. That was a supplemental conversation with Mr. Verge. We did go through and address the EAF that had been provided. I'll take full responsibility on that after getting back from vacation and slamming in an application that was not a very thorough EAF, and that the most updated document does address and provide more information based upon the review of the engineer. Really, a component that you may not have seen prior to the last submission is there's an additional, we'll call it covered wash pad located off the existing building that's not going to be connected. That's a covered building with a separate catch basin and holding tank. We propose 2 holding tanks now, not discharged to surface, and they will both be equipped with an alarm. And there's conditions in the plan set that indicate that they will need to obviously monitor that and discharge off-site with a licensed hauler.
So just holding tanks, no oil separator.
No oil separator, just holding. I mean, it's gonna go to, it's the same hauler.
Size of the tanks, Travis, what are
Right now we have 2,000 gallons. One's gonna be covered. The other is the discharge from the internal part of the building for the trench drain, which we're still waiting for building elevations on that to satisfy one of the town requirements. In a nutshell, that's really the big scheme of it, the big over bird's eye view of what's been proposed, the major changes. I don't want to get into a full, in the weeds detail, but I figured I'd open it up to any questions and let you guys bounce them off me, and I'll answer what I can. We did provide the comment response letter, an updated project narrative, full EAF, site plans, SWIP, and a line of sight figure, and engineering report.
I think at this time I'll ask Ron to weigh in on this engineering review.
There you go. Good evening, everybody. You're okay. All right. So as Travis indicated, we did meet, we went through our comments, and we received the revised package. I think it was the 25th, last Thursday. We started to look at the responses, but we have not gotten to all of them at this point. But on the surface, it appears that they're pretty much addressed. Most of them. The bigger ones were the disconnecting the oil water separator from the sewer system, etc. But so from an engineering basis, I think they did a good job of addressing our comments. We still have to finish our review. But one of the things we did mention in our letter, just nearly an engineering issue, is just what the board thinks about the front of the site. And does the board want to do any other changes on the site to address the streetscape issue? It was the sales, and I get that they have the equipment up front. And just driving by the other day, I noticed there's different equipment out front. And from my understanding, this project is a storage area, a maintenance area, not a sales area. And whether the board wants to do improving the space, landscaping, etc. That's really probably from the planning standpoint.
Let me ask you a question on these. Are these vehicles with for sale signs on them? They're just.
I didn't see it. Again, I was just driving by, so I would.
So who's parking out
It
front
should
now?
be, it's likely their equipment that's they're staging to get out on site. They had to pull everything off the Church Road. So I have not been on site. If there's anything out front, it would be the pickup trucks of the
I've been
Maybe
looking
it's
at a
larger.
real,
I
I've been
can't
looking at a
speak.
real
I-
sweet track back Bobcat there. I said, I've been looking at that Bobcat, waiting for him to drop the price on that. I'd get that out of there for him. That equipment's for sale along the front of that road.
Parking's just still there, right?
Yeah.
It is, it's Park East, yes.
Oh, they are something.
Well, it's Park East, but that's an arm of Reisner. But my understanding is they're not doing sales, it's a maintenance, it's their hub of Reifenberg and then their North Carolina.
So this is a temporary thing of equipment that has been moved from the previous site,
If it's out front,
probably.
I
think
take
what
confidence statement,
the
that's a
planning board is
question.
trying to determine is, what is the long-term use of that property out in front? Is it gonna be employee parking? Is it gonna be, or what? Light vehicle parking? If it is, I think we wanna look at some type of, maybe landscaping, visual, what's it gonna look like
Is
visually?
that here along the grass,
What, exactly?
so the equipment that you moved?
No, I noticed the other, yeah, it was right out front where the other applications are. I mean, it wasn't packed by any sense of the
No, but I mean, like everything else, one thing adds to another.
At this time, I don't believe that is the intent. I can get clarification on that. The intent is to have equipment to come in. If it's broke down, it would be staged in the gravel lot, possibly behind the building, pulled in, worked on, maintained, shipped back out. If it's not needed immediately on construction site, it would go to the gravel access, the gravel staging area or behind. If it is immediately needed, out to the job site.
Okay.
Right now, they're parking I don't know what for. They're parking vehicles on top of the concrete wall next to the pool sales. I believe they're probably mechanics, but they're probably
They're
temporary thing.
busting at the seams, waiting to get this in, so it's likely they're using every piece of property they can. Once that staging area is done, that's where it should be going. I mean, that's the reason for this
That's what I
expanded area.
assumed. I mean, but I don't think grass is acceptable long range. I think
No.
they'll be someplace else, but that's where they are now.
Well, I know we've, in different projects on Route 7, for example, Walmart's. They extended their parking lot out. They did a whole different type of traffic circulation through there with curbing and so forth and so on. And they put, trees and so forth and so on, bush shrubs, landscaping along there. This would be an opportunity to make the site less industrial, so to speak. Clean it up. I'm not saying it's in shambles, but what I'm saying is to make it look better from the road and so forth and so on.
So we've asked the board to provide clarification on that, just because it is, so I believe it is open. So, just how much,
You believe it's what?
I'd have to double check on this one.
Yes, I looked at that.
I don't have.
I don't think it's owned.
But we just looked at, see how much.
Business light over.
The applicant's not here, so we gladly.
B15.
B15.
So when I was looking at it, right now over here, like they have it's not paved, it's just the gravel area that they have to display equipment on, which I get. But if it's not needed anymore, that'd be a pretty nice landscape area or something, to kind of bring that corner a little nicer.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it from strictly an aesthetic point of view. If they want to use it as a parking lot, let's have it on the plan and say, okay, this is going to be, supplemental parking for employees or whatever.
And my only kind of reply to that is, there are going to be less employees there now than what there was for the permitted site use.
All right,
And that was documented in submitted material. So if that has changed, since they are scrambling to get this going because that's not our
well,
fault.
I'm not saying this, has to be.
The best I can do is offer and talk it over to
Well,
them.
let me ask you a question. What would be your suggestion for that property? And how would you address
I plead the fifth.
it? All right?
I can't throw my client under the bus.
Yeah, but you're asking us the same question.
I mean, I guess if they're not changing the use out front and they're pushing everything to the back, I think we can meet.
Like
I
status,
don't
like
see them having an
status
issue
quo.
meeting in the middle. I mean, adjusting and moving pavement and modifying curve, I think we can meet in the middle. I mean, I can't make the deal right now, but I'll gladly talk to Scott. I don't see him having an issue.
I think it would be nice to look at some, possible landscaping plan or something to make it. I mean, you have the site down there on 278, you have a lawn in front and so forth and so on. It's, you don't have, dump truck out in front of it. So, I mean, that's all we're at. I mean, I don't want you
Yeah, I'll talk, I
to,
can,
bring in.
I wish he was here because he'd be able to say,
20-foot trees and stuff.
gung ho, let's go, but I can't reach it. So I'll wait for, that will be in your additional review and I can respond accordingly.
Yeah, I can do something there that have you addressed. Or, if you just want to come over, if your mind's available, you just sit down.
Yeah, remember one thing, Ron, you brought it up.
Actually, I can do a sketch for you.
Go in Acer Sack over there.
All right,
Yeah, good. Well, I'll get you input. That's the best I can offer.
yeah. And we'll give you input, the best we can. All right,
Anything else?
The surface is all black. That's grindings from the roads.
The existing surface you're talking about?
Yeah, like along the building and then out in the back where they park the trucks, everything's covered with black. That's ground up blacktop.
Right now?
Yeah, I mean, it looks
I mean,
great.
right now, it was existing gravel, impermeable surface. I don't know what they've done now to
When was the last time you were there? When you go,
2 months ago.
everything is covered with black.
could it be?
Looks like road
You're talking
grindings.
back in this area behind the building?
Although, starting right at the, right in all there, everything in there that wasn't paved is
Oh,
covered
yeah.
with black. I think it's road grindings, but I don't know how it affects the stormwater runoff. And it goes from there all the way to the back. It looks beautiful, but I just,
As far as the stormwater, we modeled it as existing impermeable where it was
Right.
compacted gravel. So if anything, it's just changing and making things right as far as the terminology.
it'll absorb the water.
No, we haven't modeled it as
You said it's an
impermeable, so
impermeable.
There's no stormwater for that. All that area where the house used to be and everything, where's the stormwater? Detention ponds and stuff.
There's nothing here in the front. All the new, this area, of course, has
Yeah.
it down here.
Right.
But there's nothing proposed.
And then going to the back where they park the trucks at night.
it's all existing impervious.
But they're not changing the front.
Right, they're not proposing a change there,
So
right?
anything,
So this was the area, like, when we were looking at it too, that this was the big area. Too. Really nothing changing over, we call it the front.
Right.
So the whole swoop is pretty much aimed at that area.
Well, everything that was brown dirt gravel is not black.
Okay.
Everything all the way to the back of the
do they
lot.
have treated it?
No, I
Dust
think
down or
it's
anything like that?
grindings from when they do a road,
Asphalt.
big
Probably
machine
access
that
buildings they have.
grinds. I think they brought that in. My guess is they ran it through one of those paving machines. It's beautiful. and then packed it with a roller, but I don't know if it changes the,
Before that, because I've never been on the site before, you know, this application came up, so before that, it was just a gravel site.
I don't wander around other people's things.
Okay, I just didn't.
It's like, I mean,
Well, it might have been back there, that's all.
I've called them about pickup trucks, but that's, you know,
All right, well, let's just take a double check on it.
yeah, I just, you know, I just,
I know, Wayne, you're.
I've recused myself from this application.
Okay. Just clarifying that.
My only comment is you may want to reconsider the species of tree. Extreme. They're very nice. Deer like them? Yeah.
Almost as much as the tulips out front.
Now, we gotta get to a point where, we have a public hearing. And, I would like to see, you know, all the, as much as possible, the comments addressed and so forth and so on before we, set a date for that. So if we could find maybe by the next meeting, everything we need.
Yeah, we're almost set going through the package that was submitted last week, so I didn't, perhaps you'll have it pretty soon. And, we got you.
after that, there's a 3-week break after the next meeting. So if they got all the stuff done, we could do the first meeting in June. The public hearing.
Oh, I see. You could do that, yeah, with the 3-week break, there's enough time to, it's a point well taken. We can do that as a tentative timeline at this point.
Would you be accepting to do the public hearing, close out, if there are any significant comments that need to be addressed? And the conditional approval at that time? And I'm just asking because we've seen it at other towns. I'm not asking policy to change, I'm just asking.
Generally, this board does require applicants to respond to public comments in writing for the record.
And it's,
So I'm sorry, so we're looking at the first meeting in June, is that what I heard?
Well, I think we ought to schedule you for our next meeting on the 16th.
Okay,
You know, and just, you know, double check all the engineering review. You might be able to, at that point, come up with maybe a recommendation of what you might want to do in front, to clean it up. We'll kind of leave that in your ballpark. I mean, it's a parking lot now, basically. Are you going to continue using it as a parking lot? If you are, you know, you might have to look at, you know, some type of, you know, curbing or marking or something like that. But if it's not, you know, or it's gonna be reduced, you might wanna see what you're gonna do with the property in front.
yeah, I mean, they are going to be parking their employees, or the 8 employees that are on site on the side of the building, possibly in front as well.
I mean,
I
even
think
if you
that's
say,
good.
okay, we're gonna say, okay, we're gonna set up, you know, a dozen parking places up in front here, you know, we're gonna grass the rest of it, keep it mowed or whatever. Put some bushes there. I don't know if you're gonna have any signage. Are you
We're
gonna
not
have,
proposing signs now, because right now, there's no signage. The only signage there's 3 for the stormwater, because that's required, and because at the moment, we're not proposing modification to the internal working, because that's not needed until we are having this discussion, so.
all right,
So if we end up going that route, what I'm hearing is we will have to end up delaying the public hearing because we won't have those changes integrated into the plan set, and now we're pushing further out.
you might be correct.
So can that be, in the interest of the client, to get his equipment on site, can that be part of the condition? I'm skirting, I'm towing the line here, but our whole goal is.
The way the board has done this is it'll be packed for your next meeting, then on May 16th, for determination of completeness for purposes of scheduling a public hearing. That's within the board's discretion.
All right, I think if you have any questions, yeah, you can talk to Ron. He's been communicating back and forth with me, so if we have any questions, we can give an answer. All right?
Very good. Awesome.
Have a good evening.
Thank
All
you.
right, then we will see you on the 16th.
16th. I appreciate it. Thank you.
With the idea that we will be able to possibly have a public hearing on the first meeting. And that's only because there's a 3-week gap between those two meetings. If there was a 2-week gap, you were gonna go to the next meeting. All right?
All right, thank you. We'll update the client applicant. We'll be talking to Mr. LaBerge early next week, and hopefully we can get updated plans submitted to him, and then try to keep that June meeting.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you.
sounds good.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a nice night.
I'm the adjacent property owner.
Good. You allowed to do that, or?
I'll talk.
Yeah.
If you could,
Yeah.
go outside, if he wishes to take a look at it, that's fine. I have to, continue with the meeting here.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want what happened last time. Again.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you. All right, number 4 on our agenda is Chanel, site plan and special use permit.
Didn't bring any drawings.
Now, who's recusing themselves here?
What's he want?
This one. Most everybody's got it.
You have the floor.
You give them a board.
Simply looking to add 23 more units within the allowed offset. Two buildings, 23 more units.
So let me just. This is a modification of the current site plan amendment, and a special use permit amendment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we can run those concurrently, is that correct?
Correct.
And in this case, special use permit is, you will have to have a public hearing. So, go ahead, let's see what you got.
So, current existing facility, it's been here for 40 years. We're just looking to, again, within the offset, which is the dotted line, put these two buildings in. And from the front, from the road, you won't see much of a difference other than the side of the one building. And that's about it. Not much of the green space is going to be affected. It's mostly the parking lot. Parking lot is stone, and it's going to continue to be stone, so the drainage is going to be the same. And that's about it.
What is the storage material? Sorry, what is the building material for the storage
metal.
units?
Metal, the same as the existing.
You're gonna match the existing, style, roof style and all that, or?
Yeah, it'll be flat metal roofs, which are there.
So I count what, 23 new units?
Correct. It's currently 131.
There's 131 in the
Existing
other,
buildings.
4 buildings. What's the largest unit you have in the?
10 by 30 in existing, and the new one, I believe the largest is a 10 by 15.
Okay.
Says 10 by 20 at the end.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. The smaller of the two buildings are 10 by 20. Sorry.
Okay.
I think we may have asked this already, but are you gonna have any outside parking for boats and campers?
No.
No.
There's no room for it.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
How far will you clear the existing wood line behind those 10 by 20 units?
Not at all, other than just cleaning up overgrowth that's there in the ditch. There's ditching on the west side and around the east side, but over the years, it's kind of filled in, it's kind of got grown in, so the only thing we'll be really doing is redigging out the existing ditch and pouring the pad right at the back.
Can you show that on the plan? Well, I'd like to see that on the permanent plan eventually, but you're gonna cut a ditch along.
No, there's already an existing ditch here.
Yeah, and you're putting the units where that existing ditch is.
No, the ditch is like right here. Yeah. It's on the other side of the offset. It's down there. It's a tree line.
That should be shown on the plan.
The ditch here?
And is there any power or lighting?
Just power for lighting.
And those are going to be the same as the lights on the existing unit?
Actually, the new buildings won't have any lights on them. It'll just be from the existing buildings shining between already.
I think probably, can you show the existing lighting where it is positioned on the?
Yes.
So that'd be another thing I think I would like added on also. And then that would, answer the question of whether there's additional lighting needed on the other units. Now, do you have a gate that goes in here? How
Not currently, no. We don't have a gate.
are you going to put a gate eventually?
Maybe eventually.
Okay. Is that something that has to come before us again if they want to put a gating or security system on it?
There was originally a gate there. Just
Oh, okay.
fell in disrepair, so it's been removed for now.
Okay. How do you provide security here?
Just lighting.
So you don't have any cameras, you don't have any?
Nope.
Okay.
40 years, no problem.
Just for the record, we did receive a letter in our packet from the owner. You're the applicant,
Yes.
but the owner did give you permission to act in this behalf. Did you get a copy? Do you know that Andy?
No, we just not that. It's okay.
We also received an ag statement. That's been taken care of. Does this have to be, this is on a state road, right?
Right, we'll need to go to Kenwood.
Okay. All right. Well, if you make those changes to the drawings and everything like that, the ditch and the current lighting, I think then we could probably schedule a public hearing, that'd be required. What's your timeline on this? As soon as possible, probably, right?
Yeah, we already thought it was, we'd already be doing it by now, because I guess the laws changed a couple months ago, so this is why we're here. Otherwise, we were within our setbacks and it's just a building permit thing. Now
There's some laws changed?
Yeah.
No, this is in 2017. Prior to that, self-storage was allowed as a permitted use. Now it's required a site plan, a special use permit,
Well,
in a business light overlay zoning district, which this is.
all right. Okay. Now, who did your drawing? Is that Brian?
Yeah, over.
I'm sure you shouldn't have any problem, putting those things on. Is there anything else, Wayne, that you think we need on that?
I just have a question about circulation in here. People are able to drive all the way around and stay in that gravel drive area without like tracking around that corner, because you're putting storage units there where the turning is.
Yeah, it's the same offset that's currently between the buildings. Off the top of my head, it's 25.
How wide is that gravel drive?
I believe 25 to 30 feet range.
This is all to scale.
It should be.
His are usually your scale.
You have these units over here, I guess if that's 20 feet wide, you can pull them back in. Because they're not a way out, you gotta come back out. Here.
It seems to be the same distance to the middle corridor as it is to the outside gravel driveway in front of the new units on either side.
You're not making any other improvements to the site other than placing the storage units?
Just the site work required for the pads. And
Those are, you're just doing gravel pads and one,
with concrete pads.
or you put the concrete?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we gotta have.
This end unit, is that really just a walk-up kind of thing, because you can't really, because those 10 by 20 units are kind of in front of the entrance to that last box. You know what I'm saying?
It may look like that on the drawing, but, you know, it's,
We'll place them so you have
yeah, there,
access, you're not gonna.
exactly.
There's no vehicles or petroleum products stored here. These units aren't used for like commercial storage of cleaning supplies or anything like that. These are all like residential.
Correct.
All right. Well, we can put you on our agenda for our next meeting on the 16th. Have Brian get all those changes on there. Sure, really minor, it shouldn't take too long to do that. Get the plans over to us, we'll take another look at it on the 16th, if everything works, if everything is complete. Off we go. To the public hearing. All right. Now, the 16th, once again, 16th, there's a 3-week period. Normally, we would have a public hearing on the second meeting. Since there's a 3-week period, we can properly notice the public hearing for the next meeting. So potentially, you would be on the same night as the East Ventures.
Be the night of June 6th.
Yeah, so, let's see where we go. We need some more stuff. And we'll have to delay it, but, ideally, a timeline, you could probably be on the first meeting in June for the public hearing.
Okay.
So we will adjourn you until, our next meeting on May 16th, and, we'll see you then.
That's simply to review the changes you're requesting on the drawing.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, that concludes our regular agenda. Is there any new business?
I got nothing.
There is not. Is there any old business? Okay. Now, before we entertain the idea of adjourning, in regards to Florida, you're going to make a determination on that?
Yes, I will have that by next, I'll have that to you prior to the next meeting.
Okay. If you could get that out to us before the meeting, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
And, tentatively, we have, Oriole on, the 16th Park, East Ventures, and, Chanel. Is there anything else? Oh, wait a second. Is there something else that?
No, Brunswick Acres is waiting in the wings, so is, the other storage facility on Ty Bush. Or not on Ty Bush, I'm sorry, on Carroll's Grove.
Okay.
I haven't heard from that gentleman. So I'm not quite sure what the status of that. He is also in front of the plant, or zoning board as well.
Can you give us an update on, Brunswick Acres? Where that is?
Can I give you one?
Yeah, I mean, just, you said they're,
I understand that Mr. Casal said he wanted to get a few things done prior to coming back in front of the board that were, requested of him previously.
okay. All right,
What about Stone?
Stonehurst or something.
Whole Lane.
Yeah.
Or-
Haven't heard anything from those folks.
Okay. So, am I correct, we have 3 things on our agenda? Okay. There's no public hearings at this point scheduled?
No.
Does anybody have any questions? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Right, right.